We are live. Thanks everyone for being here on the Solar Objections live action role play. And today we have a special Sunday edition. Thanks so much for being here on a lazy Sunday. We had some technical difficulties on Wednesday, but we got Mr. Wayne Mckenzie here today. I'm so happy for him to be here. I've known Wayne for the last 5 or 6 years. He's actually one of my first mentors and ones who trained me on the very beginning of my solar career. He's a wealth of residential solar information, but he's also doing commercial now. He's moved from California to Arizona, so he knows both markets really well. He's a retired firefighter, so I think he uses that to build rapport pretty well too. But Wayne, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah, Joe, thank you for having me. And yes, being the fireman actually does help build rapport and trust in the beginning.
That's what I figured. So today, I'm actually playing the role of the business owner homeowner. And since Wayne is so good at building rapport, we're going to skip that. And he's already bought the solar system for my home. Now I have just questions that I'm going to be asking about for my business. So this is not going to be many objections. It's going to be more questions. And then Wayne will be playing the role of the Solar Pro. So let's get started. Hey, Wayne, thanks so much for getting my home set up with my solar system. I'm really excited about it. But I have questions about putting solar panels on my business, the motel I was telling you about earlier.
Okay.
But is putting solar panels on my business the same process as getting solar in my house?
It's the exact same process, Joe. But what we do have to do is we have to get some like 30-minute interval data and some other things to make sure that we build the system correctly for your hotel, because you can get demand charges and some things that differ a little bit from actually doing it on your residential. But other than that, the process is the same. I'll build you a quote. I'll show you how much it's going to be. I'll go over everything with you, and the whole process is anywhere from 3 to 6 months. I mean, you know all the hoops we got to jump through that we did for your house with all the permitting and so forth.
So that sounds good, but my electricity bills at the motel, as you can imagine, is crazy. So it's really, really big. And I know I paid cash for my system at the house, and I just couldn't afford. I'm sure I can't afford to pay cash for this system. So I probably can't afford it, is what I'm guessing, right?
No, sir, you can actually afford it. You can do cash. You can also finance it. We have some great financing options where you can get it at 2.99. You can get it at 1.99. And you're going to end up paying less per watt for it because it's a much larger system. So it's just going to depend on how big a system we need and what the total cost will be. And then I can point you in the right direction for financing purposes.
So I have to finance it. Is that the only way? Probably is going to make sense. Then I just hate debt, and as a business owner, I try not to get too much of that.
No, you can finance and you can pay cash. Just an example: if your system ends up costing 200,000, you have 100,000 in cash, we could go and we can only finance 100,000. I'm going to present you a whole bunch of different options, and it's whichever's going to work best for you, so you can get the best return on your investment.
I see. So no, I heard that you have to get this whole energy audit and go through this hoops. So for anything to even happen, do I have to like an energy audit or something? How does that work?
No, you don't really need an energy audit. What we need to do is we need to go through your utility company, and we get what they call 30-minute interval data, because in the business world compared to the residential world, you have different demand charges, and we need to make sure we account for all those different demand charges at the different times that they occur, so we can make sure that we can save you money and you're going to benefit from going solar.
Okay, so it's not actually, because I hear different things, and like they're saying that there's a huge difference between commercial solar panels and residential solar panels. They're much bigger, right? And they take more space.
No, actually, we use the same 60 cell panels out here. The only thing that may be different is we may have to use a higher wattage panel depending on your roof and how your roof faces, so we can take the best advantage of the sun. Instead of using a 340 watt panel, I may have to use a 400 watt panel to achieve your goal, so we get you at a zero balance.
So why do some solar companies use bigger solar panels that are like 72 cells or something? They're 6 feet or something. Is there a reason why they use bigger ones then?
If there is, I don't know why. I mean, they all going to do the same thing. The 3x6 versus 3x5. I'm not 100% sure why somebody would use those versus the other ones. But in my opinion, the biggest thing is the amount of watts per panel, because that's what we're going to need to achieve your goal. So we can get you at 120 to 130% offset, and you actually have a credit, and they look at paying you instead of you paying them.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. You get smaller panels with more power, it gives you more space. That's why they use it on the roofs of the homes too, right?
Correct.
Okay. But it just seems like there's a lot of work to do with getting, everything ready. I know that you need like years of business and income and all this other stuff. Is there a lot of work involved?
We like to try to go back 2 to 3 years and look at your usage to see how, just to make sure it's consistent. I like now with the times in COVID, your hotel's probably not at max capacity like it was before. So your usage is probably going to be lower. So I want to go back, 2, maybe 3 years just to get all that data to make sure that when I do your system for you, I truly get you that 120 to 130% offset. As far as you're concerned, you won't have to do a whole lot other than signing that one piece of paper for me so I can get the usage data. Other than that, you just sit back and relax and let me do the work for you.
Is this something where it's going to be a big difference from competitors, like one company to another company, or is it going to be pretty much the same thing?
For the most part, we should all be in the same ballpark. You may have some smaller mom and pops that are trying to bite off a big piece of the apple, and they're going to promise you they can do things cheaper, but you need to look at reputation. You need to look at longevity. You need to look at who's going to be here in 10 years if you have an issue down the road. With us, we're giving you a 25-year bumper-to-bumper warranty on everything, your roof, the panels, the inverters, the whole 9 yards. And some of those other companies, they do, they don't, but will they be around in 15 or 20 years? The guy that runs my company, he's only 30 years old. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. We currently are in 6 different states, and we're looking to expand into other states.
Well, that brings me up to my next question then, because the future is, we have no idea. What if my business, I go out of business and I have this big loan on a solar system that I'm still paying? How's that going to affect me?
You go out of business, you go out of business, you're writing it off just like everything else, and you don't pay it anymore. If you lose your business, hopefully that doesn't happen, but if you do, you do, and it ends at that point.
I'll go into with my bankruptcy then, right?
Yes, sir. Because
Well, we
again,
don't have to worry about that too much.
no, just like on a home, it's a UCC one loan. They're putting a lien on the equipment. They're not putting a lien on your actual hotel, so you shouldn't have any issues with that.
So I know that you said that the process takes 3 to 6 months, but that's not what I heard. I heard commercial takes a way longer time frame. Is commercial does take longer, right?
I'm sorry?
A commercial project does take longer than a residential home project, right?
Well, yeah, the actual install takes longer, but the permitting process is pretty much the same. It's just on me to make sure I get all the data I need to build that system correctly. But then you're going through just like anything else. We have to get the plans drawn up, then we have to submit everything, get everything approved. So basically, after you sign a contract like you did with your home, we're going to have the engineer go out. He's going to do his thing. He's going to check all your electrical panels, make sure everything's good there, make sure you don't have any shading issues. Then typically what I designed is pretty close to what it's going to be. And then he'll move on from there. They may have to make some small tweaks, but the actual install, yes, that's going to take longer than it did. Like your home, we were in and out of there 6 hours. Your business, we may be there, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. It just depends on how big that's actually going to be.
I see. Okay, so one of the worries was that getting with a loan is affecting me other ways. It's going to hurt me from getting other loans, and kind of. Is there any other things I should worry about affecting my business at all?
No, you shouldn't have to worry about anything else. Again, one of the banks that we use that does those loans, as long as you make all your payments on time, it doesn't even show up on your DTI or debt to income. You don't even have to worry about it. And again, being a UCC1 loan, the lien is put on the equipment. It's not actually put on your hotel. So if you needed to do another loan to say you wanted to add on to the hotel or refurbish part of it, you should be able to do that with no problem.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like it's a no-brainer.
Well, for the most part, it's a no-brainer like your home. Look, how much money are you saving every month at your house?
So if we came like $60 a month or something.
Yeah, we're going to do the same thing for you on your business. Hopefully, help you save even more money.
Okay, so speaking of that, now I'm saving $60 with my home. I'm
Mhm.
paying a lot more money for my electricity. So that means my savings is even bigger. So what's like my total ROI with my business as
Yeah.
opposed to the home?
Most of the businesses I deal with, they end up having an ROI between 60 and 80%. Again, it's my goal to get your offset at 120 to 130%, because at the end of the year, I want the utility company to pay you. I don't want you to pay them. And it's very important that we get that 120 to 130% in the beginning, because out here in Arizona, you get your grandfathered in. Like right now, APS will buy your extra electricity back at 10.45 cents. And you get grandfathered into that for 10 years. If we only do, say, 90 or 100%, and then you call me back in 6 months and say, hey, Wayne, I'm not getting enough power, I need to add more panels, you're going to lose your grandfather rights. So I want to make sure I do it right the first time, and get you set at 120 to 130% offset.
Okay, awesome. So I'm out of questions. Now, is there any, questions, or is that kind of normal for you, Wayne? Like those kind of questions, or any other questions that homeowners have, like they're, curious about getting panels for their business?
No, a lot of the questions they ask are the same with anybody that does residential. They ask the degradation rates, they ask how long the warranties are, how long the panels are going to last. And for the most part, it's no different than residential. Like the panels we're currently using, they degrade at 0.7%. After 25 years, they're still at 80% capacity. They're supposed to last you a whole 40 years. So,
You know what? Thanks so much, for being on a lazy Sunday, and you could be doing so many things. I just want to, see just a few questions that are, that homeowners ask, and things that maybe solar pros out there can, pick up from you. We have a
sure,
few more minutes. Would it be okay we do another segment right now, Solar Pro Q&A?
sure.
All right. Hey, guys out there, anybody watching right now is a good time to ask Wayne any question you may have. We may not get to it right now, but tag him. He'll get back to you. Heart, share. This is a good time to do that. But let's go to the next segment, Solar Pro Q&A. So I just want to ask you a couple questions. Not going to take a lot more time here, but I just like your expertise in commercial and going to the commercial industry from residential. So my first question is, when do you actually bring up commercial when you are selling a residential project to a homeowner?
I try to wait till after I'm done with the residential portion of it, so they can see the savings that they're getting on their homes, and then I tell them we can do the same thing for them with their business. Sometimes they'll tell me, "Hey, I'd rather do the business first." I'm like, "Well, that's fine. We can move that way first if you like." But it really depends on the homeowner and what they're trying to accomplish. And
This just depends on what they want. Listen to the homeowner, and they'll guide you through what they want, right?
absolutely,
I get to know. Like sometimes for me, I just kind of always hold off commercial because that's not my expertise. I'm like, let's get a residential in, let's get that done, and then we'll get to the next step of commercial. But for you, it's whatever they're saying, right?
yeah, I'll go either way. It doesn't matter with me. I've done enough commercial and enough residential over 6 years that I'm comfortable moving in either direction. So um, it's actually where they want to save the most money first. And typically with their business, they can save the most money. So if they want to go business, I'll go business. If they want to go residential, we'll do residential.
Well, speaking of even before you went into solar, I know that you were a retired firefighter, and then you went into solar after that.
Yes, sir.
For you, how was that transition from being a retired firefighter to going to solar?
Actually, it was kind of funny. So how I got into solar is I was a fireman, and then on my days off, I built houses. So when I came home at night, I turned the air down, and of course, our bills went way up. My wife wasn't real happy about that, so she said, "Hey, we can't keep paying these bills." And I said, "Hey, I work 2 jobs. I don't care." And then she did research, and she found solar. And it turns out the guy that owned the company that you and I both used to work for, his son and my daughter went to school together.
Oh, okay.
And then he told me, "Hey, Wayne, when you retire, why don't you come work for me?" And I just said, "Hey, I don't know anything about solar other than I have it on my home. It works. It saves me money." And he's like, "That's all you need to know." And then
Yep.
and how he put it to me is basically, as a firefighter paramedic, I'm helping people. And I'm doing the same thing in the solar industry. I'm helping people invest in themselves, their homes, and helping them save money. So it's no different.
I say the same exact thing. Sometimes, I get annoying with letting people know I do solar. It's like I'm doing such a good thing, a positive thing for people, for homeowners, for the environment, for myself. Like there's no negativity in this at all, right?
No, there's not. It's absolutely, I mean, I don't know why everybody doesn't have solar. It's just crazy to me. I've had it on a house for 7 years now. I won't have another home without it.
So we got a question in the comments for you. We don't have the name, but from a Facebook user, which banks offer financing for commercial?
There's some different banks, like some of them will go to 100, 150. You can look at Lone Pal, you can look at Sonova, and then depending on where you go with commercial, we have some other banks that we'll deal with, and we can get into PACE and some other things. But
Perfect. So yeah, if you have any questions, guys, this is a good time to put it on there. I'll put it on, and Wayne will answer for you. So I know that you did go into the solar industry in the residential, and then you went into commercial. That's not a easy thing for people to do. That's kind of scary. So just what are some tips you give someone just entering the commercial industry from residential?
I would just say the best thing you need to do is know your product, know how it works, and know how to explain to the customer what they're going to save, how they can currently use the maker's depreciation, which is they can write off 50% of the cost of their solar system against the profit they made, so they pay less taxes. Plus, they still get the tax credit. So to go commercial is extremely beneficial.
So it makes sense for people to go into it. What holds people back? Like, I should be the one answering that, I guess. But what do you think holds people back from going? Because a lot of people don't.
Because it's scary. You're walking into big corporations or big businesses and saying, hey, I'm Wayne, I can save you money, let me talk to you about solar. And sometimes it has to go to a board of directors or it has to go to shareholders, and you can end up talking to more people. It can be more painstaking. You're typically not going to get your one-stop close like you do in residential. Typically you could have to go back and see them 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You just have to be persistent and believe in what you're doing, and then you can do it.
So talk a little more about that. So what's the average times you have to talk to a business owner when you think they're gonna actually get closed and sign the deal?
Some of the businesses I've been able to close in 2 stops. Some have taken me up to 7 or 8, because again, depending on who their shareholders are or their stakeholders, or if it's just one guy that owns the business, I've been to a business where the guy said, hey, yeah, let's do it. I want to save money. And another one, well, I got to talk to my partners. Can you come back? And you come back and you have to revisit. You just got to follow up and continue to do what you do.
Do you think having experience, or at least showing that you have experience, is a big difference maker? Like, are businesses going to expect younger people with less experience, or does that help at all?
I mean, I think that helps, but I think if you're very knowledgeable about your product and how that product works and how it can save them money, if you've been doing it 6 months or 6 years, if you're open, honest, and you show them how things are going to help them, I don't think the time matters that much.
If you could do it for a homeowner, you probably could do it for a business owner, you would say?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, guys, if you like what Wayne is saying, like it, comment, heart it. Another thing that Wayne brings to the table is knowing multiple markets. So I know that you're California like the back of your hand, but then you have Arizona too. How is Arizona market compared to California, both commercial and residential? What are the major differences you think?
Well, the biggest difference is out here, they're buying solar for less. You're paying less per watt. So the prices are cheaper. But Arizona is, I think, a little bit behind the times compared to California. As like in California, starting in 2020, any brand new house built has to have solar. That hasn't happened out here yet. I think less than 10% of the homes and businesses have solar. But I think they're trending towards what California does. But the biggest player out here, APS, is a lot like PG&E in their expense and their cost. And then the
Really?
other player, SRP, oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't
APS,
know that.
they just, in September, they put in for a 6% rate increase.
Wow, they are like PG&E then.
Absolutely like PG&E.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that. I just heard that some of the markets are really hard to go solar because they're not metering.
Some of them are like where I live in SRP. I put it on my house, so they end up switching you to a different plan. You end up going from whatever plan you happen to be on to one called customer generation or E27. So you end up only any electricity you use over and above what you make, you're only paying 4.8 cents for, which is great. But to get the correct ROI, we only want to offset you somewhere between 70 and 80% because otherwise your ROI stretches out for years. And the good thing SRP does is if you make your electricity during the peak hours, they actually credit peak hours. And if you make it during off peak, they credit off peak. Whereas like APS, they buy it back at 10.45 cents. Every year they try to drop that by 10%. And once they get to zero, they get to zero.
It's like over here we have like PG&E, and then we have Roseville, which is the opposite, or that's mud, and so every
Right.
utility is completely different from each other.
Yeah, they're different, but they actually have a lot of similarities. I figured out like SRP out here is a lot like SMUD, and then APS out here is a lot like PG&E in California.
So that made it easy transition. Just kind of all right, this is like this, and then I can get your mind wrapped around quicker, right?
Yeah, just learning a different market, and the pricing is just much different out here than it is there. And then the one thing they don't typically use a lot of out here, because they seem to have issues with it, is the microinverters. We tend to use a lot of the solar edge optimizers out here.
Well, it looks like you have a fan in the comment section, and would like to talk to you. Mr. Johnny Garcia would like to speak with Wayne, and please share contact information. Would you like to give any of your contact information?
Yeah, he can. The company I work for is called For Energy, FOR Energy. My email is Mckenzie, MACKENZIE at forenergy.com. Or he could reach out to me on Facebook or through our group.
Perfect. And I got just one more question, and then we'll let you go on enjoy the rest of your Sunday. But I know you talked about going into the commercial market from residential. But any tips for just people brand new to solar, maybe from restaurant business that are not doing so good right now, or people forced into another business? What kind of tips will you give somebody just brand new to the solar industry right now?
I would tell them you need to know the utilities that you're dealing with inside and out, what they charge, what they don't charge. You need to know your product inside and out. And if a customer asks you a question you don't know the answer, be upfront and honest and tell them, you know what, I can't answer that question, but let me call one of my buddies that can, and I'll tell you the true question because I do not want to lie to you.
There you go. That's where you have to start building from the beginning. But guess what? Once you don't know something, you'll learn it, and then you won't have to worry about that again in the future, right?
Absolutely. And I've done that. When I first started out, they asked me questions I didn't know. And I reached out to Scott and Jeffrey and some of the other people and said, hey, they're asking me this. I don't know what's the true answer. And they told me, and now I know.
Awesome,
just like with
man.
anything else, experience will help you as you go on.
Experience comes in time, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen overnight.
No, it does not. And
so, Wayne,
time to learn.
Thanks so much for being on, man. I know that you took some time today out of a fun Sunday fun day. But just how's everything going? And let's leave off with any last thoughts you want to kind of bring up right now.
No, any last thoughts? Anybody that wants any information or wants to talk to me or pick my brain, feel free to reach out to me. The solar industry is an awesome business. It helps people save money, helps the planet, and I think it's going to do nothing but get bigger and bigger and bigger as we go forth. And I'm a huge proponent of it. I just say, again, know your product, know your area, know what you're doing, and help people save money, be upfront and honest, and the rest will take care of itself.
And you're not slowing down, right? There's no end to this in sight for you, right?
No, I'll be 60 this year, Joe, and I still enjoy what I do and I like it, so I'm going to keep on doing it.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. So that gives me plenty of time to go in the future doing this business. Again, Wayne, thank you so much. Next week, we're going to have another experienced solar pro, Mr. Ray Satterfield, who is a wealth of solar information. So I'm glad to have him on. That's it, Wayne. Thank you so much for being on. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday. If anybody wants to reach out to Wayne, hit him up. Any last thoughts, Wayne?
No, that's all I got, Joe. Thanks again. It's been nice to see you again. Haven't seen you in like 6 years. So nice to see you're still in the business and doing well. And this thing that you're doing with the Solar Pros, dude, it's awesome. Keep up the good work. I love it.
Awesome. Let's stay in touch, man. It was nice seeing you again. Talk
All
to you
right.
soon. And we are over and out.
All right. Take care, bro.